So it sounds like what you do is you get up at 3, which I think is probably not going to be feasible for a whole ton of people. It sounds like a biological, it sounds like a wiring thing for you.
Yeah.
Like I know that
not something I even want to do.
Right.
Just FYI.
Oh, okay. I actually, when I came to stay with you and you went to bed at like 8 or 9, I actually wanted to ask, was this something that you trained yourself to do over years? It's just who you are.
Yeah, there are pictures in actually in my library, because of where the sun is right now, not in my office. And in my library, I have a bunch of scrapbooks that my mom gave me, because my mom is a boomer and kept lots of scrapbooks. And you've probably seen this. The boomers are now giving their kids all the crap that they owned over the years, and their children, their Gen X and millennial children are like, we don't want all this stuff. But we walked our kids through a few months ago the scrapbooks, and there's a picture of me sitting crisscross applesauce, you know, cross legs.
Okay.
You've not heard that term?
Never before in my life.
Oh, you weren't a kindergarten teacher, Will Spencer. So
I was not. Correct.
So when you sit on the floor with your legs crossed, kindergarten teachers call that crisscross applesauce.
Okay.
I don't know why. I didn't invent it. Okay. And my mom and dad always woke up really early too, like 5 a.m. or whatever, somewhere in that ballpark. And in the Midwest, before the very early news comes on, which might be 5:30 a.m. or 6 a.m., in the Midwest, we have a show called Ag Day, like Agricultural Day. And it was an hour or maybe 2-hour show where it was farmers talking about the day's price of pork bellies and corn and, how the rain was and things like that. And so she has a picture. She got up, and I'm maybe 2 or 3 years old, and I'm sitting in front of one of those big box tube televisions, with the television, like in wood encasing.
Wood paneling.
Wood paneling.
I think it weighs 400
and I'm sitting,
pounds.
Yep, exactly right. I'm sitting on the floor right in front of it, like this close. It's amazing I'm not blind. And with the sound way down, and I'm watching Ag Day. But I didn't grow up on a farm. Again, I'm a Baptist preacher's kid. But that was what was on TV in 1982 when you woke up at 4 a.m. and you were 2 or 3 years old. So I would wake up and I would just like turn on Ag Day, and I would sit crisscross applesauce in front of the TV on the floor on the shag carpet and watch this show. And somehow my mom caught a picture of this. She's like, "You've always been that way." I've also, like you can see as the sun goes down, like I'm hot and sweaty and red, and I've always been hot natured. She also has, like, I'm a big guy now, lift a lot, obviously, but I've also been like very hot natured, and she has a million pictures of me at 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, just sweating profusely from my forehead. Like those things are innate in me. So the waking up early and the being very hot natured and sweating is normal. I know that's not normal for most, and so understanding your circadian rhythm of when you wake up, when you go to bed. Again, by the end of this podcast, my IQ will have dropped to about 85, and so don't let's lower expectations for the end of the podcast, because it's bedtime, and that's when I spend time eating, watching great movies. We watch documentaries. Like, we're a big documentary family. We love watching documentaries as a family. And so, I talked about the non-urgent, not important things. Binge watching Netflix or streaming TV, I would call non-urgent, not important. But for my family, there is actually a thing that I would actually take some of those documentaries and things that we learn and talk about. We pause documentaries about 10 times during every documentary, and we talk about the history behind the thing that we're watching. So we're watching a thing on Churchill, or watching a thing on World War II, or watching a thing on like whatever. And I stop and I go, wait, do you understand what just happened here? Like, this is what's going on. And we talk about the thing. And so that take for us, and it's just us, and I'm sure it's some others, but not everybody. It takes that streaming television from quadrant 1 to quadrant 4. Because now what we're doing is we've eaten dinner together at the table. We've had family worship. We've done the thing. We've decided we're going to watch. Like, I'm watching Chernobyl right now, which one of my daughters and I have watched. My wife and other daughter had not watched, and I was like, this is an excellent historical documentary about what happened in Russia and the Soviet Union in 1986 and the nuclear meltdown. So we're watching this thing, like, and that is a learning experience for our family that we enjoy. We just never watch more than one episode in any one night. After that, it's board games, it's talking, it's more family worship, it's going to bed, it's doing whatever. We just don't do 4 hours of TV together.
Right.
And so it's not that I'm saying that. By the way, we've also done family vacation or family things like Thanksgivings and holidays where we break out the old Nintendo 64 and we all play Mario Kart together. And it's a blast, the four of us doing the thing. So I'm also not saying that video games, like I'm not a video game guy. I'm not a video game guy primarily because I'm scared of what it will do to me because video games are amazing at this point. I'm like, yeah, give me a good World War I or World War II video game and I might get sucked in forever. So I stay away from the thing. But playing Mario Kart for 45 minutes with my family, that takes it from a quadrant 1 to a quadrant 4. Like, this is a blast. We make popcorn, we drink, it's eggnog season. My family loves it. Do you drink eggnog?
I have drunk eggnog, yes.
Not a fan?
I mean, it's not something that I
crave.
It's not something I crave during the holidays.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up not celebrating Christmas, so eggnog was something that I had way later.
Yeah. They don't you don't have 8 days of eggnog in the Jewish culture.
8 days of matzo ball soup.
That sounds way worse. I would much rather have eggnog. Yeah, so
a good matzo ball soup will blow your mind.
It is true.
Tell you.
I have. Yeah, that is true. I want to be careful in putting judgment on the things outside of the internet porn and the doom scrolling or the binge watching. It's the what I would say the fault or the sin is in the binge. And obviously with porn immoral, but for things like us, like we will often watch a show at night as a family after dinner. We talk about the show. We learn from the show. We're not watching Game of Thrones. We're watching a documentary that has historical evidence that matters, maybe good, maybe bad. And we talk through the thing like, hey, let me tell you this has been skewed this direction for this reason. And so we do those things. And so that's the way my daily schedule works. But what I want to be careful of in the book, and I was careful in the book, is saying everyone needs to wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, work in the morning when everyone else is sleeping, doing the urgent and important work, spiritual disciplines, workout, so that by 6 a.m., you've gotten all those things out of the way and it's time to just work on the important things, because I think a lot of people are wired the opposite, and I think that's fine. If you wake up at 6 or 7 or 8 and you have your own system in place and you're most creative at 7 or 8 p.m., and as my IQ is winding down, yours is cranking up, I think that's fine. There's no judgment there. The key is identifying what are the things that are urgent, what are the things that are important, focusing on things that are important when they make the most, when they're most effective.
Mm-hmm. That's helpful, because I think not everyone, like I've tried to force myself to get up at 5 and it'll work really well for a couple days. But I find that it's very difficult for me, because I'm a social person, to get to bed at 9. Like it might be an impossibility for me.
It is also an impossibility for me to get to bed at 9 because I'm already sleeping.
Exactly.
For the opposite reason.
Right. Yeah. But I have recognized inside myself that there is benefit in the early morning hours before everyone else is awake. And I think this is why Benjamin Franklin said, because he is the origin of this phrase, early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I think that's why he said that, because he recognizes that a man has such a diverse range of responsibilities that extend outside himself, that I've noticed, for me, as soon as I'm aware that the world has started waking up, somewhere around like 9 o'clock, something like that, my whole day changes. And then later in the evening, like for example, after 10 or 11, when I know everyone's sleeping, then I get that focus time back.
Yes.
So, I think to some extent we may be wired to have this maybe environmental situational awareness that there are people that have legitimate demands on our time and our energy and our attention. And we have to be present and available to them, including family members, subordinates, employees, et cetera, right? Or just the next person down the line of the information management chain. But to wake up early and to have that time where it's like, I'm not responsible to anyone right now, or I'm going to knock out, as you said, those emails that, for your fellow executives that they need to have in their hands in order to work that day, like to take care of that, those demands. But if you have that time for yourself in whatever it is, 90 minutes or whatever, I think that's invaluable to have whenever you can get it.
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing that doesn't change is that people who are wired to work and work well, and I would argue most men, that's really what we're called to do in Genesis 3, is to do this thing. We will find a time to work when everyone else is sleeping.
That's right.
So whether that's early in the morning or late at night, find the time that works for you. I don't care. Like, I coach a lot of people that do this. So when I say I don't care, I'm not saying I want you to do it. I just don't care what time of the day it is, right? So whatever time is most sustainable. I get the same question as a strength coach. Should I work out early in the morning? Should I work out in the afternoon? Should I work out at night? I say whichever one you're going to do consistently for the next 10 years is the one you should do. If that's 5 a.m., if it's 3 p.m. or it's 10 p.m., I don't care, so long as you get the workout in. And so if you're someone who wakes up, this is a conversation I've had with Brett McKay from Art of Manliness about motivation and discipline, which try to. There is a famous influencer, Navy SEAL, who often takes pictures of his watch at 4:30 in the morning. And I don't do that because it's at 3:15 in the morning, and I don't want to feel like I'm better than him. And
which obviously you are.
He's a good dude. He's fine. But the point there is that for us, I want people just to do the thing that works. And so if training at 5 in the morning works, train at 5 in the morning. If spiritual disciplines at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning work, do that. If it's 10 in the morning, do that. If it's 3 in the afternoon, do that. And if it's 10 at night, do that. There is zero chance I would comprehend anything I read in the Bible at 10 p.m. We occasionally have a church. I mean, you've been to some of our church stuff, a social event, a dinner that goes to 9 or 10 p.m. And I mean, like, I can't comprehend anything at that point. So for me, it's early in the morning. That's when the comprehension comes. And for me, 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever it is, till 7 when my wife and kids wake up, that's my best work of the day. That's the most efficient work of the day. And again, coming back to that quadrant, the urgent and important work is the work that has to be efficient. And let me be clear, quadrant 4 is not about efficiency, right? Family time, husband time, parent time, spiritual discipline time, occasionally workout time could be, but health sort of stuff. That's not about efficiency. That's importance. And so we're trying to make time to do that stuff. So as we get deeper in the book and we talk about the tactical aspects of the game plan of goals, actions, metrics, execution, I'm not applying goals, actions, metrics, execution to how good of a husband I am.
Right.
The point there is to apply those to the previous 3 or certainly 2 quadrants so that when I get to the husband time, I'm not like, hey, we got an efficient 45-minute date right now. Like, everybody knows this, right? This is, I actually got asked this on a podcast. I was like, yeah, we don't apply that to the things that are most important. Those tactical things for efficiency occur on the urgent things that actually matter. They're urgent and important, or that are urgent and maybe not as important but have to be done, purging quadrant 1 and still making as much time possible for that quadrant 4. I want to spend as much time possible in the Word. I want to spend as much time possible with my wife, with my children. Nobody looks back and says, I wish I was a more efficient, I worked more as a CEO, as a business owner, as a whatever. And so I do want to be efficient at those things. But the reason I want to be efficient at those things is so I can do the things that actually matter to me, which come back to my core values, which is being a great husband, great father, the legacy I want to leave of the jacked, wise old grandpa that loves Jesus, that goes for generations to come, not just to my children, but to my children's children and to multiple great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren that I may never know, and they may not even know my name. But if I set the culture if I set the values in my family now, the values can be passed down. So while like I don't know the names of any of my great grandparents, I know the names of my great grandparents. I've met them as a child. I have very small memories of them. I know my grandparents well, and they're really the ones who I think helped us. They took on, they accepted and took on Christianity and sort of turned us into a covenant family, I would say. But beyond that, I don't know. And so the reality is how much value has been pushed down from, like my grandpa was here for Thanksgiving last week, and he's 89, and it's I'll get choked up. This might be the last Thanksgiving we get with him. He's pretty frail. He's still mentally pretty sharp, but really physically frail. And I've lost my dad. And he said, you're it's not going to be long, and you're going to be the patriarch of the family. You're going to be the leader of the family. And I thought to myself, I already am. And I wasn't going to say that to him because he is still alive. But the reality is that my job is, because he is a wonderful man who loves Jesus, is to carry the torch and carry the ball down the field. And I want my children and my children's children and my children's children's children to carry the ball down the field, even if they don't know my name. I hope the values that I instilled in them, because of the time I spent doing the important things and not the urgent things that I'll never remember. No one will ever remember the urgent things, the base camp project management and the emails and the podcasts and all the things. No one will remember that. But the values that I instill in my family, while they may not even remember my name and they may not be able to say, great grandpa Matt Reynolds did this, if I do it well, it can last generations to come. Right? To 1,000 generations. Like that's what the Bible tells. Like that is I think a promise on some level that we can have faith in, that we can pass down to our children and our children's children.